Boy, do we have an interesting, intriguing, entertaining show for a Monday. Getting that work week started off for you correctly. NFL Scouting Combine this week. The month of March comes in on tomorrow. So much to get into on the hottest show on the streets. Number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Glad to have all of you checking us out on today. We're bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham. Streaming this to you on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now if you haven't done so and hit subscribe. Smash that subscribe button so you can have all that you crave on your favorite program, that being Bama football. Also, run those likes up, give a thumbs up on the show, leave a like right there. Make this your network, your channel, your show, your platform and space to talk Crimson Tide football. Hit the turn on those post, turn on those all notifications. Hit that little bell so that way you can get all of your updates and alerts on your Crimson Tide. We got you covered also on Facebook and Twitter as well, streaming to you the show. Got a great show today, great conversation, great action taking place. Gonna already shout out Jamie Wilhelm with that $9.99 in the Super Chats. Appreciate the love there, comment from Jamie. The daily Super Chat goal, $75. Daily Super Chat goal. Appreciate all of you guys making this your show here, your platform and channel. Also, want to hear from you guys tonight. Let the passion ooze through to the phone lines, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. We're talking some Alabama receivers tonight. We are talking, there's a report going on that could Alabama be losing Dr. Matt Ray to the New Orleans Saints? I mean, this is crazy. We'll get into that also. We'll discuss the expectations here for the Alabama defense for this upcoming season, starting off in spring ball. And can Evan Neal give Nick Saban an extra accomplishment in his hat when it comes down to the upcoming NFL draft? We'll talk all of these things here with you. And as always, backed by popular demand. You love them, you love them, you love them. We got Patrick P. Money down in the building. Pat, man, you're back again. What's happening, brother?
Yeah, back again. Always looking forward to coming here on Mondays talking with you guys. So, ready to go.
Pat's ready to go. He's ready to go. He's charged up. We're ready to go with them, folks. So we're going to get into topic number one here of the conversation, and that continues our positional breakdowns for spring football. Pat and I have discussed the backup quarterback role. Of course, I touched on the running back. So now we're going to get into the group of wide receivers, and I think this is the most intriguing group because this is a young but highly talented group. The Crimson Tide losing Jameson Williams, John Mechie, and Slade Bolden to the NFL draft. Three guys that Bryce Young trusted, three guys that Young developed a rapport with, and Mechie and Williams especially, he developed that rapport with both of those two guys. But Bama's got a group of young, fresh, talented guys, unproven guys, but which person or which player or players within this group can build that chemistry, can build that camaraderie with Bryce Young. I always go back to when you look at just former quarterback and wide receiver connections in Alabama and discussing A.J. McCarron. He had that connection with Kevin Norwood. He trusted that guy on the field. Blake Sims had that connection with Amari Cooper, trusted him on the field. Jalen Hurts had that connection with Calvin Ridley. Now, Tua Tagovailoa, he had a connection with everybody, whether it was Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs III, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. Mac Jones had that connection with Devontae Smith. Bryce Young, like I mentioned, had that connection with Jameson Williams and John Mechie. But in this group, who builds that connection, who builds that camaraderie with Young? And Pat, as we look at now spring ball coming up here for this group of young, talented, looking to prove themselves at that wide receiver position. We're going to get into kind of, I guess, our projected starters in the wide receiver room for Alabama. But start off with you first, my man. Who would be your projected 3 starters at that position and the guys you feel like will build that consistent camaraderie and have that faith coming from Bryce Young?
So the 3 guys I'm going with are, first of all, Trayshawn Holden, Jakoy Brooks, and Jermaine Burton. I say Holden because throughout the whole entirety of last season, Nick Saban said he was probably the most consistent out of all the young receivers throughout the entire year, and he was really the guy who saw the most playing time when you look at the entire season. So I think he's gonna be a guy that you look upon who has a little bit more experience than some other guys, a little more familiarity with Bryce Young. And then moving on to Jakoy Brooks, I mean, everyone saw he showed up in big games for Alabama, most notably the Iron Bowl where he caught that.
That was a big play,
right there.
That
was a huge play, and so he appears to be a big game player, which is something that Alabama is also going to need. And lastly, I say Burton because, I mean, just look at Nick Saban's recent history in the transfer portal. He doesn't go in there to get these guys to just ride the bench. I mean, look at Henry To'oTo'o and Jamison Williams last season. These guys that Nick Saban goes out and gets play immediately, and I think Burton fills a hole in Alabama's offense in terms of its explosive play ability. With Williams going on, Jamison Williams leaving for the NFL, Burton averaged almost 20. I think if I remember correctly, 20 yards per reception for Georgia last season. So that's going to be a big area that Alabama needs offensively if they want to have success this season.
Burton, Brooks, and Holden, the 3 coming from our own Patrick Dowd. And I like the 3 you put out there, Pat, because you go back in the transfer portal just solely at wide receiver. Alabama brought in Richard Mullaney in 2015. We saw what he did coming from Oregon State. Brought in Garrett Dieter from Bowling Green in 2016. He proved to be a pretty solid guy in his own right. And, of course, Jamison Williams, we know what he did as a big-time game-breaking receiver. So I can see why you brought Burton in here along with Holden and Jakoy Brooks. Now, for me, the 3 guys I'm going to go with, I'm going to go a J.I. Hall, Jakoy Brooks, and Christian Leary from the slot position. So here would be my 3. For Hall, it would be put up or shut up time for him because 6'3", 195-pound, 5-star from South Florida, came in under a whole lot of expectation. Of course, last spring dominated that A-Day game, 4 catches for 72 yards, and people thought he would carry that into the fall season for 2021. Now, of course, there's a mixed bag of blame going around. Some people say, well, you can't blame Hall because Alabama didn't rotate the receivers. He didn't have much time on the field. A lot of that's got to go on Saban and the coaching staff. You can't put it all on a J.I. Hall, but some say, hey, didn't prepare the way he should have, wasn't focused the way he should have. He's all over social media a lot. So this moment for him, it's go big or go home for a J.I. Hall on the field. But I like the talent. I think he knocks in, could be a really good player, especially at the top of that formation. Jakoy Brooks, for some of the same reasons you mentioned, he's a big game, big-time player in the Iron Bowl. When you needed it, he made the catch. He tied the game in ruckish Jordan-Hare Stadium to set up the 4 overtime period, and then he had the 44-yard catch and score against Cincinnati in the Cotton Bowl. So Brooks, C7, big-time player right there. Christian Leary in the slot because of the pure speed. JoJo Earl's quick too, but I think Leary is more acceleration fast than quickness. And when you look at today and age of college football, speed kills. You go back to the national championship game. When Jamison Williams went down and the type of speed that he brings, Kirby Smart and Georgia were like, thank goodness nobody else right now prepared to do what that guy does in terms of eviscerating the defensive secondary with his kind of speed. And when I look at Christian Leary, he's a 10-5, 100-meter dash type of guy on the track field. You get that speed in the slot, move him around, he can make some massive plays for you. But I would look at Hall, put up or shut up, Brooks due to his big game potential, and then Leary with the speed coming from the slot position there.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say. We both agree on Brooks. I think he is going to be a star next season. Leary, I think he's gonna have to prove a little something. He's gonna have to prove a little something this spring.
For him.
It's gonna be a big spring
for him.
But I do think that he built some rapport with Nick Saban last season by stepping up in that reserve running back role. I mean, maybe Nick Saban and Bill O'Brien do use him as a running back this upcoming season. That's going to be another area where there's going to be a lot of competition get on the field. And look, at J.I. Hall, there was even despite after all the kind of hecticness and confusion that was surrounding him last season, why isn't he playing? All the cryptic tweets and everything. Like that 8A game still sits in people's minds, and I believe that if he can put together, he could be the best receiver on this team. He has all the ability to do so. He just has to put it together and just kind of straighten himself out here. And this is going to be a big opportunity to grow up this spring.
It's going to be for him. It's can he stay out of his own head? Sometimes you could have the most talent birth player, but it gets in their own head. If he can stay out of his own head and just put the work in on the field, if he can do this, he has the makeup. He has the physical makeup to do this.
Yeah, and here's what I'll say, too. Like, him being thrust into the national championship game and maybe not being the most prepared may have been the best thing that could have happened to him because he got on the field and showed just, you can't prepare like this and expect to go out there and play well. I mean, he had a couple of big drops in that game, so maybe that's, the kick in the butt that he needed to get going for this upcoming year.
Going to be fun to watch what Hall does, Pat, and what all of these guys do because like I mentioned, Bryce Young had that connection with Jamison Williams, knew where he was going to be, knew when he was going to break out off the route and catch the football. The same thing with John Mechie. There was a reason why prior to last season, Bryce Young called Mechie the cornerstone of the offense, and you saw with Mechie having 96 receptions to lead the team a season ago. So now it's who becomes those guys that when Bryce Young looks at them, he can trust those guys on the field.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Young is probably the best player in the country just in general. So, and if Alabama can't get any development or can't get any consistency out of this receiving room, it's not going to matter. So they really need some of these young guys to step up and spring ball right now to solidify those roles.
Spring practice, folks, coming up soon here as we will enter the month of March on tomorrow. So probably by week 2 or week 3 of March, we can get into some spring practice action, especially with the Alabama Football Athletics Department getting us that email with spring practice starting up. But always fun conversations here to break down those positions by positions here to get you pumped up for the spring action. We're going to go to a break here, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting started. When we get back, we go to the phone lines to take your calls, your thoughts, your chats, your interactions, your discussions. Who would you have as Alabama starting receivers spring ball in the upcoming season in the fall? We talk to you, the fans, after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Throw them foes up.
This is Matt Caddell, former Alabama wide receiver, and you're listening to In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith with Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And I got 2 words to say, baby. Roll Tide.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
And We are back into the action here, folks, from the break on the hottest show in the streets. Getting that work week started off for you correctly on a Monday. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate my man Patrick P. Money Dow. That first segment breaking down the Alabama wide receivers for spring football. Who can be the guy or guys for Bryce Young to trust there on the outside, getting the football to them. But right now, we go to the phone lines to take your calls. The call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard tonight, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How are we feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
On Emily. That pound cake show is sweet. It's Monday. Blue Monday. I tell you what, we're going to start off here with a chat. We got 101 people in here on Monday night. It takes each and every one of y'all to make this show the hottest show on the street, the number one show in the country. We love every one of you, the donations, the calls, the chat here, all the suggestions. We love everybody on this show. Boy, Stephen, I tell you what, you're going to have to hit me here. My heart's skipping a little bit there. We're not going to lose our strength coaches, are we?
It looks like one of them, Waylon, may be headed out the door. It's being looked at that Matt Rhea is expected to take this New Orleans Saints job, and I hate it because he and Ballou have always been together. And Dr. Rhea is really big in speed and injury prevention. And I know Bama had some players to get hurt last season, but you never want to have a coach that is that respected leave that quickly. But it looks like one half of the duo is headed out the door.
Well, I don't know. I didn't see anything today. I hadn't been keeping up with it. I guess I missed it. I hate this has happened. All the money that's been spent down at the University of Alabama to get these gentlemen down here, and then I guess the Saints' pocketbooks is deeper than ours. I don't know. Maybe it's because they want to go to the NFL. But anyway, all right, I'm going to get off here. I reckon that's all we want to do. We just want one more time. We thank everybody. We love everybody. Y'all be safe. Let's meet back on Wednesday. God bless every one of y'all, and we'll see y'all on Wednesday. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate Waylon there starting us off on a Monday here on the show. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How are we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Steve, this is Jay from Sheffield. What's up with you, man?
Jay, I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Kind of scratching my head. Kind of hurts to see, the dynamic duo of Dr. Matt Rhea and David Ballou being split up here. But looks like Dr. Rhea is going to head to the NFL, man.
Yeah, that one there. That's. I guess we got to do like they say. Let him go, and maybe I don't know, find love here somewhere. I don't know. But, Steve, we got we got receivers, man. We got dogs, man. That Bill O'Brien got to put in the right positions, man. There's no reason why we should see too many slant passes being thrown to Hall when this man is a jump ball monster. Throw it up there, let him go get it. You got your slant guys. You got JoJo Early, Christian Leary, and them guys, man, and Aaron Anderson and all them coming in. Like, come on, man. This thing here, it should be a well-oiled machine, Steve. It should be no flaws. You got big guys, you got little guys. What you want me to hit you with the curry or throw it to Shaq? That's all I had to say, Steve. Hopefully Bill get his act together and just a little creativity, man. If we can see Slade Bolden coming out the backfield, why we didn't see Christian Leary doing that last year on the little option route? You see what I'm saying, man? That man mind ain't creative enough. Yes, I love y'all. Roll Tide, baby.
Appreciate Jay from Sheffield calling in. I mean, that's what everybody wants. That's what everybody wants from Bill O'Brien. Just a little creativity, just a little something different, just adding some new stuff to what you are trying to do and making Alabama's offense that much more exciting to watch. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's good, Steve? This is Austin, man. I'm from Rex, Georgia, in Atlanta. So I'm thinking we should go with Jai Hall, Jakoy Brooks, Trayshawn Holden, and either Aaron Anderson or JoJo Earl. Which What you think about that?
Okay, so I like Hall. If he can just lock in, I like the potential. Brooks has shown he can be a big play guy. Trayshawn Holden, I know he and Bryce Young are close. If Bryce can trust him out there, that'll be good. Now, Christian Leary or Aaron Anderson, I think that's the competition right there in the slot. I like JoJo Earl too, but I think Anderson and Leary just got that insane, crazy speed that you got to get out there on the field. I like that. I like that.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. We need that game breaker like we had in Waddle. Not trying to compare the two, but we need that top end 4.2 speed like we had in Jameson, you know what I'm saying, to get over the top. Because all those other guys, they're great receivers, but I don't know if that top end speed is where, you know, we need it to be champions. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I agree with you, though, Steve.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to have guys that can lose the defensive backs on the route, off the route, no matter where that route is. But appreciate that call right there. We take this call. Here you're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling tonight? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, Steven, this is Mike from Kentucky, man. How you doing, bro?
Mike, doing good. How you doing, big man?
Man, I'm feeling great. It's beautiful weather. Finally got over that cold snap. You know, I think we got plenty of horses in the barn this year for receivers. I think Jakoy Brooks and Ajayi are throwing that kid from Georgia. I think JoJo Earl and who's that other kid from Florida?
Christian Leary.
Yeah, Christian Leary. I think those two boys, one of them is going to step up and we'll have an awesome slot receiver. But, you know, I noticed something last year. That Mechie and Jamison Williams both blew out of ACL running the exact same route.
Interesting.
Did you notice that? They both made the same move,
I kind of saw it a little bit, though.
It looked like the same move to me. They slam on the brakes and juke hard inside, and, man, I don't know about that route. They both blew ACL running the same route, man. I just hope – I don't know. I mean, I guess I ain't going to take it out of the playbook, but, you know, I found that kind of interesting. You know, I got to looking, and I thought, look at there. They both blew a knee out doing the same exact cut. That's all I got for you tonight, Steve, but I think we're in good shape receiver-wise. Somebody's going to step up. I think Jakoy might end up being the man myself. If I had to pick a guy, that'd be my pick.
Appreciate my man Mike. Appreciate my man Mike from Kentucky calling in. That's an interesting thought. Jamison and Mechie, and remember – and the route took place on artificial turf, and that's the reason why a lot of you as fans don't like the turf, because while it creates more speed for speed guys, it can also impact an injury, because when you cut and when you bend and that turf doesn't give the way you want to and your knee buckles, then that happens. So it's a catch-22 of turf. It can give you the speed, absolutely, but it won't allow you that opportunity to bend and pivot and contort and adjust your lower body the way you want that to. So it's always a catch-22 of some things. Appreciate Mike from Kentucky bringing that point up right there about Jamison Williams and John Mechie on that particular route leading to an injury there. But as you guys are continuing to get your thoughts in, 205-448-1358, number to call in, 205-448-1358. We're going to go to a quick topic right here, and it's on Dr. Matt Rhea. So the reports coming out, that the conversation coming out right now is Dr. Matt Rhea looking at the New Orleans Saints, expected to go to the NFL and join the Saints there. And, of course, this was a conversation that happened last week. David Ballou, he emphatically tweeted out Roll Tide on social media. And to my opinion, I'm thinking that Roll Tide was for he and Dr. Matt Rhea to both remain at Alabama. But I guess that tweet was more so for Ballou to remain, as Dr. Matt Rhea is expected to look at the NFL with the New Orleans Saints. And it kind of sucks just due to, they both have always been together. They were together at IMG Academy. They were together for the Indiana Hoosiers. They've been together the last 2 seasons at Alabama, and you wanted them to continue being together. But, NFL comes calling for Dr. Matt Rhea and wish him the best there. And he's always been a big proponent of speed and injury prevention and getting the peak optimum performance from the speed aspect from players. And he helped a lot of players, get faster in the last 2 seasons for the Crimson Tide. So best wishes there to Dr. Rhea. Hopefully the remaining strength staff can continue with the injury prevention, continue with the peak optimum performance, and continue having Alabama at the best conditioning that it needs to be at as the players are going through the fourth quarter program as we speak now. But we go to a break right now, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial, because when we return, we get into the Alabama defense and what's the expectation. Realistically, what is the expectation for Pete Golding and this Alabama defense, especially with Todd Grantham now here at work as a defensive analyst behind the scenes? We'll talk the Bama defense after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, Tide Nation, we're back in from the break on a Monday, number one forum for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. As always, people that daily Super Chat go, $75 daily Super Chat go. Appreciate the love from you guys. And continue to leave a like on the show. Run those likes up. Hit that thumbs up button, making this your network, your channel, your platform, and space to talk Bama football. But now we look at the Crimson Tide defense, and realistically for you, as the Alabama football fan, for you, what is the expectation for this defense? What is the expectation you have for this defense? Is it being top 3, top 5, top 10, number 1 defense in the country? Is it, more so the sacks? Is it more so the turnovers? Is it more so the non-offensive touchdowns? Like, what is the expectation for you, the fan, when you look at this Alabama defense? And to start things off, what is your expectation for Pete Golding, right? Because Coach Golding, he's back for his 5th year with the Crimson Tide. Started off in 2018. He's back for his 4th year as the primary defensive play caller. And he has grown each season, contrary to popular belief. People forget sometimes that in 2019, in Golding's first year, he was expecting to have Dylan Moses and Joshua McMillan. He had neither. They both blew their knee out in fall camp. So you looked at Christian Harris and Shane Lee. You got to teach 2 freshmen how to play the game at the Alabama level. And that was a bit difficult. And even with all of that, if Tua Tagovailoa does not hurt his hip against Mississippi State, this team more than likely wins a national championship. Then you look at the 2020 campaign. Of course, Dylan Moses was not the same coming back from a knee injury, but Pete Golding was able to do enough to get the defense to the national championship game, and Alabama was an undefeated, perfect national champion. Even last season, I know people look at, well, Steve in the Texas A&M game, and Steve in this game, and Steve in that game, but after the A&M game, this Bama defense started playing like we thought it would play all season. And it got to the national championship game, and the halftime score was 9-6. I mean, the guys were teeing off on Stetson Bennett. The offense couldn't move the ball, could not get in the end zone, could not score touchdowns. And that led to, of course, unfortunately, the defense wearing down late. So Pete Golding has made strides. He's made improvements. He's one heck of a recruiter, as you saw in this recent signing class. The thing that I, of course, want to see from him is a growth in gaining more pressure packages, more blitz looks, disguising those blitz looks, hitting home on the quarterback more with those looks, and having those pressure packages create more turnovers and non-offensive touchdowns. That's what I'm looking at in terms of Coach Golding. But as we look at now the defensive front here for Alabama, the expectations for this group, I mean, what are you expecting from the defensive front with Phil Mathis going to the NFL, Brian Ray gone, but you bring everybody else back? I mean, DJ Dale is back, Justin Boygby's back, Byron Young, who's an animal, he's back, Jamaria Latham is back, Jamil Burrows is back, Stephon Wynn is back. You've got guys like Tim Keenan III and Anquin Barnes and Damon Payne all back. You got some freshmen in here at the outside linebacker positions. There goes Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. They're both back at the inside linebacker position. You got Henry To'o man in the middle at Mike linebacker. Jalen Moody more than likely will be the starter at weak side linebacker. So you got players back. You got veteran leadership. You have experience. But what is the expectation for this defensive front when you look at sacks, when you look at tackles for loss, when you look at creating turnovers, forcing fumbles, maybe getting an interception or two, stopping the run, not letting teams score in the red zone? What is the expectation, especially on third down? What is the expectation here for this defensive front when you look at all of this experience back here for the Crimson Tide? For me, my expectation would be way better on third down in terms of getting off the field more in the upcoming season starting the spring than what you did last year. Expectation would be getting back to not allowing the opposition to run the football on you. There were moments in 2021 where the opposition was able to line up and run the ball on Alabama. You go back to the national championship game, there were moments where Kirby Smart was like, we're going to run Zamir White right here, and you're not going to stop us. And it happened. There were moments where Kirby Smart was like, we're going to run James Cook right here, and you're not going to stop us. And that happened. And we remember an Alabama football program where running on the Crimson Tide was, that was like speaking a whole different language. Like that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Alabama would not allow that to happen. So getting back to that, but then also getting back to forcing those fumbles and recovering those fumbles and taking those turnovers back for touchdowns, just being that relentless defensive front to help the secondary out even more. That'd be my expectation for the defensive front. And then when you look at the secondary, the expectations for this defensive backfield, can this group get back to being that sort of no-fly zone group that you had in 2015, 2016, 2017 under guys like Mel Tucker and Derek Ansley? Can that group get back to that type of production because of talent there with that group? In discussing Eli Ricks coming over, transfer from LSU, the success he had. When you discuss Kool-Aid McKinstry and Kyrie Jackson that got experience last year at the cornerback position. You got Brian Branch and Malachi Moore back at the nickel spot. Daniel Wright is back at the dime position. You got both of your safeties, Jordan Battle and DeMarco Helms, both back. And then you have other guys that are waiting to get on the field and get playing time themselves. So for the secondary, what are the expectations here? For me, it's turning to face the football. Turn to face the football, be physical, not too physical, bat the ball down, create some interceptions, not only create some interceptions, but also return those things back for touchdowns. That was one of the big points with Mel Tucker and Derek Ansley. It was not just pick the ball off, you take that thing back to the house, and that's what got you as fans on your feet when you saw a Minkah Fitzpatrick or an Eddie Jackson or a Ronnie Harrison or a Cyrus Jones or a Marlon Humphrey or an Anthony Averett or a Levi Wallace, just those former players, when they got their hands on the ball, they knew what to do with it. They were going back the other way, bucking it for a touchdown, and that got y'all hyped up. So when I look at this particular secondary right here, the expectations: play the ball, be instinctive playing the football, create those turnovers, create those pass deflections, hitting home on blitzes when they're being called for the blitz, just things of that number. Because when I look at this defense as a whole, this defense has the makings to be a top 3, top 5 defense across the board. Scoring defense, pass defense, run defense, pass efficiency defense, third down defense, sacks, red zone defense. I mean, this group across the board can be top 3, top 5 when you look at college football. And that's when this group plays at its full potential, and its full capability, and its full power. And that starts with, of course, Pete Golding taking another step forward as a defensive play caller, improving his blitz packages, adding to those, disguising those looks, hitting home on those looks, and creating those turnovers and touchdowns off the mistakes of the opposition. And I think getting Todd Grantham in here as he starts this week as a defensive analyst, that's huge. I mean, with what he did as a defensive coordinator at Georgia, at Florida, at Mississippi State, and at Louisville, I mean, the mastermind of having blitz looks, of having pressure packages, disguising those formations, and hitting home on the quarterback, stopping the run, but then also creating those turnovers and turning them into big plays, with him behind the scenes, sharpening up Golding even more, bouncing ideas off of Coach Saban, maybe even bouncing ideas off, a couple of the players. Like, having Grantham's mind in here is a big deal. You want to make sure you're on the top of your game. You bring other guys in that are at the top of their game, and they can help you. They can help you. They can make you successful. They can make you good. They can make you even better in sharpening that tool shed a bit. So I'm excited about this defense. Hopefully, from start to finish, beginning in spring football, it can play to its full potential. But we're going to take a break right here, folks, on the show. When we get back, we return to the phone lines. People, what are your expectations for this defense? I mean, do you see them top 3, top 5, top 10? Like, what do you want to see from this defense starting this spring, through summer workouts, fall camp, and of course in the upcoming season in the fall? We get back to you after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Marvin Constant, All-SEC linebacker and 1999 SEC champion. You are listening to In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care, in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99, and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to WhitwellSports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
we're back into the action here, folks, from the break. Number one forum for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate you guys checking us out here on a Monday. Getting that work week started off for you correctly. Gotta shout out my man Jimmy, the bad man Clay, with that $66 donation in the Super Chats here. He came in with 50 at one point, and then behind that 50, he brought in a cool 16. So $66 in the Super Chats here for Jimmy Clay. Appreciate him. And the daily Super Chat goal of $75 has been met. Appreciate all of you for donating to the show, making this your show, your network, your platform, and channel to talk your Crimson Tide. And we go to the phone lines right now to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Yeah, this is Terrence, from Lufkin, Texas, Richardson, Mississippi. Roll Tide, Roll Tide.
What's happening, man? How you feeling?
Oh, man, I'm good, man. Got a few questions. We talking about the defense. I feel like a nose guard has to be Tim Smith. Then you got Byron Young, Justin Aborgamy. And then on the outside, we got Dallas and Rhea Will. Then we got Henry Tortora and Moody. Or if we running out of that 4-2, you still got Moody and Henry. Then you got you still gonna have Tim Smith. You got to get either a Byron Young to play another tackle with mix of Jamil Burrow and Justin Aborgamy. Then you got your outside, of course, still Dallas and Will Ferrell. If we can shore up the DBs. I mean, I hope I did hear you. Did you say Daniel Wright was returning?
Daniel Wright is back, man. He is still here.
Wow, man. Graduate assistant, I hope. We need to let some of the young guys get in there and let them eat. We got Story, Arnold. We still, we rough around the edges. Kyrie Jackson is good, but there's a few times he got picked on back there. And also, I know this ain't got nothing to do with defense. I just wanted to ask, if Dr. Ray leaves, do we have anybody else that we're looking at as far as speed and injury prevention? Or do we have people on the staff that are up to par with, they know how it goes and they can do the steal thing and not miss a beat with David Ballou and stuff like that. So all of it is questions, but the defensive front should be real solid. We got some hard hitters, especially the newcomers coming in. I want to see the Murphy guy and Jahad Campbell. I want to see Curtis Perry. Man, Big Otis. That's the thing about it. We hadn't had an unblockable defensive lineman since the Slippery Bandit. Before then, we had Darren Payne. Then we had Jonathan Allen, Ashawn Robinson, Jerry Reed. We hadn't had that in a while. We need that unblockable D lineman, can't touch this. Because, like I said, the last person we had like that was the Slippery Bandit. And these two guys that I'm finna say, their freshman year, when they got in together, they showed just flashes of it. There's Tim Smith and Jamil Burrow. Jamil Burrow is very underrated, but he got some dog in him. I can see it. But if we play those two guys, I'm telling you, then Byron Young, it's there. Byron Young should have got more playing time, but we hadn't had that blockable D lineman in a while. We need that. And Roll Tide, give it back over to you. Y'all support the chat, donate, and I'm out.
Appreciate that call right there. For me, it goes back to rotation. Alabama's got to continue to rotate these guys. Rotate the defensive linemen. Rotate the linebackers. Rotate the defensive backs. Get more guys on the field, absolutely. And then the thought on Dr. Matt Ray, I'm pretty sure Nick Saban's got even a short list of strength and conditioning guys he's looking at now. He trusts Jeff Allen, who's been here since 2007. He trusts the staff that's under Jeff Allen, so that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So you've got Jeff Allen with his staff, with David Ballou. The thing is going to be, is Nick Saban looking elsewhere to potentially replace Dr. Ray, or does he bump up somebody that is already within the program? That's going to be a big question, because I mean, Dr. Ray did do a lot when you look at the area of speed, when you look at the area of lateral quickness, the area of injury prevention, the area of peak performance with that kind of speed on the field. He did a lot right there in 2 years. So I'm pretty sure Saban is high at work trying to find either somebody on his short list of coaches or somebody already in the program. But we got a super chat coming in here from P from Denine. P from Denine with that $4.99 in the super chats. Appreciate the love coming there from P from Denine, helping us out here on In My Own Words. 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard, let your opinions be made known here on a Monday. 205-448-1358 as we transition here to one Dave Ballou. I mean, where does this go to from here with him? Because I mentioned this before, he and Ray have been linked together, a lot. They were linked together at IMG Academy. They were linked together at Indiana. They came together to Alabama. So for a lot of us, we have not seen Ballou without Ray. We have not seen Ray without Ballou. I'm pretty sure it's probably has happened before, but just for us, we've always kind of seen them tighten it together here. So with Ray heading elsewhere, Ballou looking to try to hold down the fort in terms of peak power, because that's his thing. His thing is weight training, squatting, bench pressing, lifting, a lot of that stuff, a lot of that peak power, peak performance type stuff. So can he I know he's going to continue that, but can he hold down the fort in terms of the strength staff, in terms of the conditioning staff? Can he hold that down, especially if there is a situation where Nick Saban hires from within for the sports science department, and you have that ordeal happening? I think Ballou can do it. The players have a lot of respect for him. They love him. They appreciate him. They value what he does and keeping their bodies in shape and keeping that performance in shape. But it's going to be interesting to see, how does Nick Saban go about attacking this, and then how does Dave Ballou go about here attacking this. Now, as far as is it official, there's no word out from Alabama just yet, but Ray is expected to make this move to New Orleans. There's no move coming out now from New Orleans that has confirmed that they've hired Dr. Ray on their end. And of course, there's no move on Alabama's end in terms of Ray being removed from the coaching staff, which right now is that the reports are saying that, Ray is expected to transition over, making this move to the Saints. But we take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How are you feeling? State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, bud, it's Chad from Oxford, Alabama. What's going on, Steven?
Doing great, Chad, and yourself, man?
I'm okay. I'm very optimistic. I watched the championship game, and I'm telling you, it was a loss to see both receivers go down. I know they make excuses on the fans of Alabama saying that's what cost us. And I agree. I mean, everybody goes through that, but next year, and I'm not trying to be like the same cliche person, but next year is going to be mighty different for Alabama. I don't think Georgia will be in the hunt at all, and I can explain why very briefly.
Go ahead.
Well, the way I see it, the receivers, Jakoy Brooks, everything, they were capable last year, but thrown in there last second. Okay, you got spring and everything. You got the Jamar, the Georgia Tech guy. Wow. And then the healthy guys coming back. It's getting to be stacked on Alabama's end. Then the defense, forget about it, man. You got two edge guys and then linebacker recruits along with that D-line that never got attention due to Will Anderson hogging it all, but now they've grown. And that other kid from the other end, like I told you, 15, it's going to be ridiculous. And thank God for other teams. 4 couldn't come back. Chris Allen went to the NFL. I think he declared, but that was going to be insane. Then you got Ricks at quarterback, and then along with everyone else coming back in that position. So I don't see a weakness. I don't understand. I mean, I've never seen it like this before going into a season. Do you agree or disagree? Maybe I'm just way out of whack here.
I think there's a lot of talent, Chad, back on this roster, and I feel like with the way you saw after the national championship game, which absolutely, you give Georgia credit, they won the football game, but after the national championship, the look of frustration in Bryce Young's face, the look of frustration in Will Anderson's face. Yes, Nick Saban did the right thing by honoring both of those two guys at the podium, but just that look of frustration, that's not going to go away from those two. That is going to fuel those two to not only get back to that stage, but finish the job.
Who is that guy? Real quick, Steve, before I let you go, and this is something that will help me out. The guy we recruited that's like Jadeveon Clowney from South Carolina, the edge guy. Who was? Do you know his name offhand? I mean, a complete freak of nature monster. I'll have to go back and watch film and figure out who it was. But they've got a guy coming in, too, on top of the guys we already have. And I know he's going to get playing time. There's no way he won't. But if you could help me pinpoint that, and just to let you know that the class they have coming in now, and it's a dang shame that we didn't allow those receivers. You know, I listen to Uncle Lou, and I know you're familiar with who he is. You know, love messing with him. You know, we bicker. But I told him the receivers we have never really got many chances due to Mechie and Jamison doing such a great job. But they haven't been turned loose, and those guys have a year of reps under their belt. I mean, next year is going to be mighty dangerous, and I think Nick understands that, and I think he's going to go off and grab it. Something told him the defense Georgia had this past year, you know, he kind of seen this coming, but next year is a whole nother issue, man, and I hope you see what I see on that. And roll tide, Steve, and I'm going to let you have it, bud.
Appreciate Chad there for calling into the show. So I think the guy he's referring to is Curtis Perry. I think Curtis Perry's the guy he's referring to, came into this 2022 class from Pike Road High School in Alabama. Just nasty player on that defensive line. A guy that can get after the quarterback, make some serious plays. Our own Justin Smith, scouting and recruiting analyst for us here at TDA, spoke on Perry was the most violent player that he watched defensively on the recruiting trail. And back to the receivers, it's just rotation. Rotating more guys on the field, get the most out of the personnel that you have. And that's one area that U.S. fans definitely want to see this team, this program get back to, is when you have talent and when you have elite talent, regardless of what side of the ball it's on, rotating those guys consistently throughout games and throughout situations. But we go to a break here, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we tidy up loose ends by discussing one Evan Neal. Nick Saban has accomplished a lot in his coaching career at Alabama, but Evan Neal could give him something he's never had before in his tenure at Tuscaloosa. We'll talk about the history Evan Neal could give Nick Saban right after this.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, in my own words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
And folks, we are back in here to the action from the break. Number one form, hottest show on the streets, talking your Crimson Tide. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to us on today. And before we get to the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So you're repping your Crimson Tide, you're repping your brand, you're repping your favorite program. But along with that, you got to also rep the people that give you the best information on your program. And that being us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. So check out, get your style, get your swag, your culture, your clothes, your hoodies, all of your fashion needs right here. TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. Whether it's the I Love Hearing Touchdown Alabama shirts, the joggers, the hoodies, whatever you crave, we got you right here. TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. A link in the description. Continue showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. But Nick Saban has accomplished a lot in his 15 years, now going on 16, for the Crimson Tide. Whether it's national championships, conference titles, putting players in the NFL draft, getting number one recruiting classes, really doesn't matter. He's accomplished a lot in his tenure in Tuscaloosa, but there's still one it's a couple of things, but one of those couple of things that he has yet to accomplish, and that going to the NFL draft is, at Alabama, he has yet to produce the number one overall pick for a respective draft. Evan Neal has a chance to give Nick Saban a big piece of history. Evan Neal has a chance to put another massive feather in Coach Saban's cap that he can push towards recruits. Evan Neal has a chance to have the national media and the rival fans be more frustrated about going up against Coach Saban. Evan Neal he's eyeing big history right here. Neal can be the first player of the Saban era to be the number one overall pick in a respective draft. And this is a big deal because when you look at Evan, Neal has played across 3 years, he's played in over 40 career games, whether it was left guard, right tackle, left tackle. He rarely has given up a sack in his career. This is a guy that has been or was named a permanent team captain by his peers from this past season, an All-American as an offensive tackle, a guy at 6'7", 350 pounds, just a freakish athlete, great footwork, great hand placement, great technique, whether it's in run blocking, whether it's in pass blocking. He's just an all-around dominant offensive lineman. And you have the media pundits, prognosticators, whatever you want to call them, draft guys. They have Evan Neal projected as the number one overall pick for the coming draft. You even have betting sites out there, whether your favorite betting site is BetMGM or PointsBet or FanDuel or Caesar Sportsbook, whatever you're throwing your money at. I wouldn't advise you to throw your money out there, but whatever you're throwing your money at, you even got betting sites out there that project Neal to be the number one overall pick in this upcoming draft. And the team with the number one overall pick just so happens to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. Evan Neal is from South Florida, so that's interesting right there. So for the Jags, you got Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. If you get an Evan Neal, you got protection for Trevor Lawrence. I would hope the Jaguars also bring back Cam Robinson for another contract so you can have two Bama guys protecting Trevor Lawrence throwing the football there. But it's interesting because prior to this moment with Neal, the highest two players of the Saban era that got drafted would be Marcel Darius in 2011 and Trent Richardson in 2012. Both went number 3 overall in the first round of their respective draft classes. Now, before the AFL-NFL merger in 1970, Joe Namath, former Bama quarterback, he was taken number 1 overall in the first round of the 1965 AFL draft. Now, he was also number 1. He was also first round, 12th overall pick of the 1965 NFL draft. But in the AFL draft, he was the number 1 overall pick. That was Joe Namath. But just in the Saban era, Evan Neal has a chance to be Saban's first number 1 overall pick in a draft here at Alabama. Neal, according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, he will not go through on-field drills at the NFL Combine, which is set up starting tomorrow, going through March the 6th or the 7th, if I'm not mistaken, at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. So Evan will be saving all of his workout stuff for NFL teams for Alabama's Pro Day on March 30th, which I don't blame Evan for doing that. I mean, you know what you are. You know what your tape does. The NFL scouts know what your tape is. They know what you bring to the table. So if you feel like you're better suited to do your stuff at Pro Day, then do your stuff at Pro Day. However, Evan will take part in interviews. He'll meet with teams. He'll talk to coaches. He'll talk to owners. He'll talk to GMs. He'll go throughout that interview process, which will be very good for him. But this is potential history here for Coach Saban when you discuss Evan Neal can be the first number 1 overall pick for a respective draft for Coach Saban, and that's going to be awesome right there. I got to shout out my man Sean from Huntsville for donating that. Let's see here, Sean from Huntsville with that $5 donation. The Super Chats, appreciate my man Sean from Huntsville being back in here. In that donations right there, making this his show, his network platform and channel, talking Tide football. But as always, Bama fans, you want the best of news, notes, information, and coverage here on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple. Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio needs, check us out, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I look to be back on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Bama football. Remember, Tide fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link found in the description. Also, if you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA, the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com. You click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description too. If you're also trying to get your hands on the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That's WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That link in the description also. Appreciate my man Patrick P. Money Down of Touchdown Alabama Magazine joining us here during the show earlier today. My man John Ivor in the production studio doing his thing. You, the outstanding fans of Crimson Tide football, making this your show to check out here on a Monday. And for all of us here at TDA, as always, people, husbands, love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, you guys continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing, to not be bored. Be sure to get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. Peace. You've been listening, as always, to In My Own Words.